The movie opens in December 1981 as Rambo, a United States Army veteran, returns to civilian life after enduring brutal training and torture during the Vietnam War. Wandering along a riverside neighborhood, he meets a woman and asks if she knows where his old Army buddy, Delmar Barry, lives. Rambo shows her the address Barry once wrote for him and explains that they served together in Vietnam as part of the same unit, even showing her photos from their time in the war. The woman sadly tells Rambo that Delmar died the previous summer from cancer, caused by complications linked to Agent Orange exposure during the war. The news devastates Rambo, and with nowhere left to go, he continues walking alone. He eventually arrives in the small town of Hope, Washington, where he is confronted by the local sheriff, Teasel. Judging Rambo by his appearance, Teasel assumes he is a drifter. Rambo explains that he is heading north, and Teasel offers him a ride, claiming he will drop him off along the way. During the drive, Rambo asks if they can stop for food, but Teasel tells him the nearest diner is 30 miles up the highway. When Rambo asks if there is a law against him eating in town, Teasel coldly replies that there is, specifically for men like him. Teasel refuses to explain further and orders Rambo to stop asking questions. Teasel drops Rambo outside the town limits and warns him not to return. Feeling insulted and unfairly treated, Rambo turns around and walks back toward town. Seeing this in his rearview mirror, Teasel turns around and confronts him again. When Rambo refuses to leave, Teasel arrests him. Rambo cooperates peacefully. During the search, Teasel finds Rambo's field knife, which he uses for hunting, and immediately becomes suspicious, viewing him as a dangerous man. Rambo is taken to the sheriff's station and handed over to the cruel chief deputy, Galt. As they begin booking him, Galt demands Rambo's name, but Rambo remains silent. The sound of the radio in the background triggers flashbacks of Rambo being imprisoned in an underground cell in Vietnam. When a deputy tries to remove Rambo's chain, he resists, and Galt threatens him with a baton. After removing the chain, Galt discovers Rambo is a soldier. When they attempt to take his fingerprints, Rambo still refuses to cooperate. Teasel returns and warns Rambo that refusal will result in 90 days in jail and a $250 fine. With a court appearance the next day, he orders the deputies to clean Rambo up. Rambo complies and removes his clothes, revealing a body covered in scars from past torture, shocking the officers. Galt responds by striking Rambo with his baton. In the washroom, Galt sprays Rambo with a high-pressure hose, ignoring the pain it causes. When the deputies attempt to shave him by force, the abuse triggers intense flashbacks of Rambo being tortured with a knife in Vietnam. Snapping under the trauma, Rambo fights back, striking one deputy in the groin and taking down the others with brutal punches and kicks. He throws a deputy through a window, kicks Teasel to the ground when he enters, grabs his field knife, and escapes into the street. Rambo knocks a biker off his motorcycle and speeds away. Teasel immediately pursues him through town in a patrol car. Rambo races into the forest, with Teasel following on a different route. Rambo lures him into the mountains, causing Teasel to lose control and crash into rocky terrain. Though injured, Teasel survives and continues the chase on foot. Rambo abandons the bike and disappears into the woods, reaching a wrecked train area where he searches for warmth. Using his knife, he fashions a makeshift coat from leather to protect himself from the cold. Realizing they need backup, Teasel calls in additional deputies. He orders one deputy to contact Orville to bring tracking dogs and another to arrange for a helicopter search. As Rambo moves deeper into the forest, search parties spread out to hunt him down. Hearing them approach, Rambo runs until he reaches a steep cliff. With no escape and the deputies closing in, he begins climbing down. A helicopter approaches, carrying Galt, who spots Rambo clinging to the cliff. Ignoring Teasel's order to keep Rambo alive, Galt opens fire. After several missed shots, Rambo leaps from the cliff, crashing through tree branches and suffering a severe arm injury upon landing. Despite the injury, Rambo evades more gunfire by hiding behind trees. He throws a rock at the helicopter, causing the pilot to lose control. Galt falls from the helicopter to his death, while the pilot escapes. Rambo retrieves Galt's coat and rifle, hides again, and stitches his wounded arm. Teasel and the deputies reach the cliff and confirm Galt's death using binoculars. Rambo briefly emerges to warn them to leave him alone, insisting he has done nothing wrong. Teasel refuses, threatening to kill him if he does not surrender. When they open fire, Rambo retreats deeper into the forest. At the base, a deputy informs Teasel that the helicopter cannot return due to an incoming storm. He also warns Teasel that Rambo is a former Special Forces soldier, a Medal of Honor recipient, and extremely dangerous. Other deputies echo the warning, but Teasel's stubbornness grows, convinced they can take Rambo down because he is wounded. In the woods, Rambo begins crafting deadly booby traps using his survival skills. As the deputies continue searching, tension rises among them, even leading to an argument that Teasel breaks up. They soon spot a scarecrow and mistake it for Rambo, sending a dog after it, only for the dog to go silent. Rambo opens fire, injuring one deputy. When the others shoot back, Teasel orders them to stop and realizes they were firing at a decoy. They send another dog after Rambo, but it also goes silent. Leaving the injured deputy behind, the team spreads out. Rambo suddenly erupts from the ground, stabbing one deputy in the leg to disable him. He drops from a tree to attack another, while a third deputy is caught and impaled by a sharp booby trap. Teasel arrives and helps free the injured man, only to discover another deputy tied helplessly to a tree. Rambo suddenly emerges from the woods and holds Teasel at knife point, warning him that he could have killed them all. He threatens that if they continue chasing him, he will not hold back next time. After delivering the warning, Rambo disappears deeper into the forest. The injured deputies are rescued as ambulances arrive, along with Washington State Patrol officers and units from the Washington National Guard, all gathering to assist in the massive manhunt. Captain Dave arrives and, seeing Teasel's condition, suggests that Teasel step aside and allow him to take command of the operation. Teasel refuses, insisting that Rambo is his problem and that he will handle it himself. As reporters begin covering the escalating situation, Rambo's former commanding officer and mentor, Colonel Troutman, arrives and meets with Teasel and Captain Dave. Troutman explains that he has come to retrieve Rambo, revealing that he trained and commanded him for 3 years during the Vietnam War. Teasel refuses to hand over control, claiming Rambo is still his responsibility. Troutman bluntly tells him that he did not come to capture Rambo. He came to save them from him. He warns that Rambo could easily wipe them out if they continue the pursuit and that they were lucky to survive their first encounter. Teasel, furious and skeptical, dismisses Troutman's warning. Troutman presses on, explaining that Teasel has no idea what he is dealing with. Rambo was trained to survive in any environment, kill with anything he could get his hands on, ignore pain and weather, and live off anything, from animals in the wild to scraps in the jungle. In Vietnam, his mission was simple: kill the enemy and disappear. When Teasel asks what Troutman's plan is, Troutman advises him to let Rambo go and defuse the situation. If Rambo feels free, they could capture him later without bloodshed. Teasel reluctantly takes Troutman to the radio tent, where they attempt to contact Rambo, who has taken the radio from the now-dead Deputy Gault. As Troutman speaks over the radio and mentions the names of Rambo's former teammates, Rambo realizes who is calling and responds. Emotionally broken, Rambo tells Troutman that everyone is gone. Harry, whom he believed was still alive, is dead too, and he is now the only survivor left. While Troutman tries to calm him and convince him to surrender so they can end this together, the authorities secretly pinpoint Rambo's location in the northern woods. Rambo refuses to surrender, condemning Teasel and his men, and insists that they drew first blood. He ends the transmission. Soon after, the Washington State Patrol and National Guard move toward Rambo's last known position, unaware that he is hiding underwater in a flowing river nearby. Once they pass, Rambo slips out and heads back into the forest to outmaneuver them. A young boy spots Rambo and alerts his father, who then informs the search party. The soldiers eventually spot Rambo, but he manages to escape into an abandoned mine, dodging heavy gunfire. Teasel contacts the troops and orders them to surround the mine and hold position until he arrives. Inside, Rambo fires back until he runs out of ammunition. The soldiers respond by firing an M72 Law rocket into the mine, causing a massive explosion that collapses the entrance. Believing Rambo is finally dead, they cease fire. Teasel arrives at the scene with Troutman and surveys the destruction. Convinced that Rambo has been killed, Teasel orders his men to prepare to dig out the body. Troutman, however, remains doubtful. Quietly observing the wreckage, he believes Rambo may still be alive. Inside the collapsed mine, Rambo survives. He uses scraps of fabric from his torn clothes to improvise bandages and searches for another way out. As he navigates the dark tunnels, he is attacked by cave rats, but manages to fight them off and escape. Eventually, he discovers a ventilation shaft and climbs out. Outside, Rambo hides among the leaves, watching as the soldiers withdraw from the area. He then moves uphill and waits as a military transport convoy passes by. Rambo leaps onto the last truck, holds the driver at knife point, and throws him off after discovering an M60 machine gun in the back. Armed and determined, Rambo drives off, intent on confronting Teasel once and for all. Back at the sheriff's department, Teasel and the remaining deputies learn that Rambo is on the move again. One of the deputies catches sight of him and begins pursuing Rambo through town. Rambo changes routes, but the officer closes in and opens fire on the stolen military truck. The patrol car attempts to cut him off, but Rambo suddenly accelerates, forcing the deputy to crash into a parked vehicle. Up ahead, several sheriff's cars block the road in an attempt to stop him, but Rambo plows straight through them, smashing his way past the barricade. As night falls, Rambo crashes the truck into a gas station and brings it to a halt. He grabs the M60 machine gun from the back and ignites the station before escaping, creating a massive explosion that lights up the town. The blast sends civilians into panic. Deputies rush to the scene, but are forced to keep their distance due to the intense fire. Teasel orders an immediate evacuation of the streets to protect the townspeople. At the sheriff's department, Troutman once again confronts Teasel and urges him to let the situation go, warning that continuing the pursuit will only lead to more bloodshed. Teasel refuses, convinced that Rambo must be stopped. Knowing Rambo is still nearby, Teasel climbs to the rooftop of the sheriff's building to search for him. Meanwhile, Rambo begins sabotaging the town, cutting power lines with the M60 and plunging much of the area into darkness. He then breaks into a gun shop, scatters ammunition across the floor, and sets the building on fire, using the chaos as a distraction. Rambo spots Teasel on the rooftop and opens fire on the sheriff's office, shattering windows and killing the lights inside the building. Moving silently, he slips inside and fires through a skylight, hitting Teasel in the leg. Teasel crashes through the glass and falls, badly wounded. As Rambo prepares to finish him, Troutman arrives and stops him, pleading for him to stand down. He points out that nearly 200 National Guard soldiers now surround the building, heavily armed, leaving Rambo no chance of escape. Troutman calmly assures him that it is over. Rambo finally breaks down, unleashing years of buried pain and anger. He blames Troutman for what the war turned him into, and speaks of how he fought to survive in Vietnam, only to return home and be rejected by the very country he served. He recalls losing all his friends from the war, and admits that after 7 years, the civilian world still feels empty and meaningless. Troutman listens with compassion and comforts him. At last, Rambo agrees to surrender. Troutman escorts him outside, where he is taken into federal custody. Teasel is placed in an ambulance and rushed away for medical treatment. The movie ends. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe for more.